Paula Lazrus. Good to be here. I'm going to talk to you about some community collaborations that I set up for my Introductory GIS or Geographic Information Systems class. Geographic Information Systems are softwares that help you do spatial and visual analysis. In this case, it's a very basic class, and the students must do most of their work in a lab and not have the availability of doing it on their own outside of the lab. And so I thought it would be interesting to move beyond a point and click, follow the directions kind of format, and to have the students work on real life projects. To do that, we partnered with the New York Botanical Gardens, where I have some colleagues, and we got a set of projects that the students could do after roughly a month and a half of background. How does this work? What are the basics of this software? And then the rest they would learn as they went along. In 2019, after we had already tried this once, the Gardens set us up with the Consortium of the Southern Rocky Mountain Herbaria, and we did our project for them. And by then we had a little more of the idea of how we would work through this, so that was a little better for everybody concerned. The students in the first class in 2018 were asked to do work that was data that was collected by citizen scientists as part of the New York City EcoFlora project. And that data was collected and saved within the iNaturalist app. So we could go there to download the requisite material. They told us which species we should look at. Our students were divided into pairs, and we chose to use Esri's story maps as the vehicle for showing our data. So the students made their maps in ArcGIS, and then they put them together into story maps, which is a wonderful narrative way to share data. They got their data, and they needed to look at it and see, where did the citizen scientists collect it and find those species today? And then where were those species, perhaps, what were those same areas like in historical times? Compare the two and see if it could tell them something about the environment that those species happen to like. So that was the kind of research they were doing, and you can see here from the different formats that they also used different kinds of mapping tools, but that they also went to the herbaria at the New York Botanical Gardens and found specimens that matched the plants that they were looking at, or old drawings of them as well. In the second round of this collaboration, the students were given a series of data points reflecting the genera Penstemon in a particular area of Colorado. And here we downloaded the data from iDigBio, and then they were asked to try to understand why this genera had so many species within such a relatively small area. This meant that the students needed to do their analysis by looking at different kinds of configurations, whether that was rainfall or elevation or temperature, months of the year, types of soils, and that those things would drive what were the subtle differences among the different Penstemon species. Once again, we used story maps as the vehicle for presenting our data to our clients. And you can see here we have elevation and soil and geology. In this particular story map, we see an example of the actual plant, the general distribution, what they found from the herbaria, but also hydrology, land cover, elevation, annual rainfall. So they did a lot of very good work in this sense. The most challenging thing for the students, besides learning a brand new software, was to think about what the questions were. And this, of course, it comes from the part of the teacher. But because many of them were freshmen, or some were freshmen and some were sophomores as well as seniors, teaching them to really think about what were the criteria that they needed to think about in order to see some kind of difference in their data, this was actually the greatest challenge, but one which I think they began to improve on as the semester went along. The final slide here just shows you links to the story maps they made, and they are clickable and you can see the maps. They are live. Thank you very much for your time.